The 2 years I've been playing darts, there is a couple of things that I've come to recognise as immovable facts of improvement. Now, these things are not going to blow your mind. They're not going to change the way you think about life or anything like that, or anything crazy. They're not game-changing hacks. These are actually quite simple things that I think that don't get talked about enough, and we could really do with just being comfortable with these ideas. And the sooner we get comfortable with them and the sooner we accept them, the sooner we can move past them and just carry on improving. And I'm going to talk about them right now. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, you'll see in the background I'm going to have a revenge game against the darts bot level 10. If you'd watched my last video, you'll see that it beat me and bested me, so I had to give it another go. But let's jump into the 2 points that I'm talking about. Now, point number 1 goes back to my days of playing online video games. Now, don't worry if you don't like video games and you've never played one or don't care or think they're stupid. It's not really important that you know anything about these games, but I think my experience in those realms is quite instructive for the point that I'm about to make. And let me just paint you a very quick picture before I dive into exactly what the point is. So, I used to play a game called Dota 2, and I was thoroughly addicted to this game. I sunk thousands and thousands of hours in. I loved it. And when I first broke into playing Dota, this was 12 years ago, there was a young player called Arteezy. Now, he was recognised as this unbelievably talented young player who was basically the best player in the world. And if he wasn't the best player in the world, he was probably like top 3. And one of the things that got bandied about at that time was that he was this prodigious talent. He was so talented. He just started playing Dota and he was just amazing. And he was fantastic at this game. He was just so talented. Now, stop if you've heard this before, because it probably sounds a lot like a player in the darts world called Luke Littler, some guy you might have heard of. Now, this goes back to the whole debate about natural talent, like how much of it is natural and how much of it is developed. And the key difference between the online video games that I used to play and darts is that every time you played one of these online games, your activity was tracked. And for a period of time, you could go in and look at this person's profile and see how many games of Dota this person will have played. Now, it didn't actually tell the entire story, to be truthful, because there was a lot of ways you could play the game where your matches weren't tracked. So ultimately, it was always just very much a baseline figure of how much this person has played the game. It was likely a lot more, because they had like practice matches and stuff that weren't officially recognised. But for the most part, you could see at a minimum how much time this person has played the game. And something that was very instructive to me back in 2014 when I started looking at this sort of stuff, I started looking at this prodigious talent Arteezy's profile. Now, don't get me wrong, he was a sensational player, and he still is a very good Dota 2 player, but I went and looked at his profile back in like 2014, and he had over 10,000 matches of Dota 2. Now, just to put that into perspective for you, it was probably more than 10,000 hours, because a game of Dota 2 is like 45 minutes on average, and this guy had over 10,000 games. So let's just say it was like 7,000 or 8,000 hours of Dota 2. And then you've got all the hours that he was practicing that weren't official matches or logged matches, if you will. They were called scrims. So you could probably add another 3,000 or 4,000 hours of time onto this person's playtime. And that's not even counting the time that he played other games that were very similar, that had a lot of transferable skills. So, ballpark figure, this guy probably had 11,000 to 12,000 hours. This 18-year-old kid, this prodigious talent, this sensational player, this like naturally born, gifted, whatever, innate talent player, he had over 10,000 hours, at minimum 10,000 hours. So let's go back to this whole idea of, is a player born with just sensational talent, or are they like developing this talent over time with many, 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 many hours of really good quality training and practice? I think the key takeaway from that is not so much that if you get to 10,000 hours, you're going to be a sensational player in any given sport or game or activity. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of people who do play Dota 2, and when you look at their profile, you can see, once again, how many hours they've played. And there's a lot of people who have probably over 10,000 hours of game time, but they're not artsy. They're not the best players in the world. So it's very easy to practice something or do a lot of something, play a lot of something, train a lot, and not really get the results. But ultimately, this was a recurring theme across every single pro player that I looked at on this Dota 2 game that I played. Every single player had at least 10,000 hours. And a lot of them had like double that or more. So when we're talking about this kind of 10,000 hour idea, which has got very popular, I think it's true in the sense that for a lot of skills, darts included, mastery does have a prerequisite. You need to put the hours in. And the sad thing for us is that it doesn't actually guarantee mastery. It doesn't guarantee elite skill. So the key takeaway for us as darts players is that ultimately we're going to have to pay the price, so to speak. We're going to have to put the time in. We're going to have to put the effort in. We're going to have to put a lot of time practicing, a lot of time training into our game. And ultimately, it's not, unfortunately, going to guarantee results, but it's a prerequisite. So I think that's the first, immovable fact of improvement, is that you have to put the time in. But the reason why I consider this something of a positive for us as darts players is that, yes, we need to put all this time and effort in. Yes, we need to train hard. Yes, we need to practice hard. And obviously, if we love it, that gets a lot easier. If we really enjoy it, that's so much easier. But I think it takes some pressure off us in the sense that, I'll speak for myself when I say that I put a lot of pressure on myself to be good. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be improving at a rapid rate. And when you put a lot of time and effort in and you're not getting the results that you want, yes, it can be frustrating, but you have to maintain some perspective. Like the 10,000 hour thing, just to go back for it for 1 second, yes, it's a bit of a popularized sort of a popularized idea, but that doesn't make it entirely untrue, just because it's like a widespread sort of thing. I think there is a degree of truth with the 10,000 hour thing. And like I say, I think it is a prerequisite for real mastery. You're not going to become a master of anything. You're not going to become really, really high level at anything unless you put the hours in. I would suggest for people that are just born with just amazing talent and just get results with barely any effort are very, 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 very rare. And I would just use that information and remember that on your own journey. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. It's going to take time. It's an undeniable fact to me that it's going to take time. Now, point number 2 is another one that, once again, is not going to radically shift your mindset, but I think we need to remember it. And I certainly need to remember it. So I'm saying this for myself as much as I'm saying it for you. But the other unmovable fact about improvement is losing. You have to get used to losing. You have to get used to being humbled. And gee whiz, I do not like this. I really don't like losing. But if I'm going to become a better player, I've reached the point where I have to go and get humbled at tournaments. I have to go and get humbled in matches. And I've talked about this in previous videos, but for me to get better at this stage in a real environment, I have to be playing in a real environment. And I think that's the case for everybody else too. If you're not playing in a real environment, you're never going to get better in a real environment. Now, the unfortunate truth about that is you're probably going to lose, and you're probably going to lose most of the time, unless you're just a really, really strong player. Now, for me, I won the first tournament I went to, not because I'm an unbelievably gifted player or anything like that, or really good. It was a fairly small tournament, to be truthful, and I think under most circumstances the tournament wouldn't have gone ahead, but they really wanted to get the venue up and running as a vault venue, so they ran it with like 8 or 9 people, I think it was, and I won the first time. But after that, I've been getting humbled quite a lot. I played against someone the other day who averaged 85, and that's just the way it's going to be, and it's going to continue to be that way for a while probably. I'm not at a stage yet where I'm good enough to be beating these people, so I'm going to be losing a lot, and it's an essential part of the journey. And once again, the reason that I'm making a video about this, and the reason I'm saying it, and the reason I'm trying to really hammer it into your head, and my head too, is there's a lot of people out there, myself included, who hate losing. And I've seen people recently kicking the wall after losing a match. And it's unfortunate, and I sympathise with them, because you can put a lot of time and effort in and feel frustrated and everything, but ultimately, you need to be mature about these things, and you need to accept losing is natural. There is always going to be better players than you. And I was going to say, unless you're Luke Littler, but ultimately, even Luke Littler is going to lose. Every pro player loses quite a lot. Now, granted, they probably win more than they lose, but you probably get my point. You have to be putting yourself in this competitive environment. You have to be exposing yourself to this sort of pressure. You have to be exposing yourself to these positions where you're vulnerable. And yes, I understand if you hate the feeling, I do too, but you're not going to get better if you don't do it. So hopefully these things help you, because I don't think there's enough talk about these sorts of realities in darts and improvement in general. Maybe there is about improvement in general, but specifically darts improvement, I don't really see enough of this. I realise it's not like mind-shattering, like, oh my god, I didn't realise that. I realise they're fairly obvious, but I think we need to shine more of a light on them and talk about them more, because there's a lot of talk out there about equipment and tips and all that sort of stuff, and they are great and everything, but we need to acknowledge the reality of just how hard improvement is. And hopefully if just one person appreciates hearing this, then I'm a happy guy. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. You might have recognised, by the way, I've gone back to my old darts. I was using those 21 gram super grip darts in the last video, and not been throwing very well with them. So I've kind of gone back to the 22 gram Paul Nicholson darts. Just thought I'd let you know. It's not an old video, I promise. It's a new video. But yeah, if you've got any thoughts or comments, do let me know down below, guys. It really helps the interaction with the channel. Thank you if you're doing that, and also maybe a cheeky little subscribe as well. Yeah, have a fantastic day, night, evening, weekend, whatever, and I will catch you for the next one.